He gets given the win by the split decision, which is your first professional loss. You feel like it was wrongly awarded to him. You say after the fight, everybody knows I beat him 10 rounds to 2. I won that fight. And the crowd reacted by booing you. And the crowd were your fans. They turned out for you. How did that make you feel?
I don't care. It's a sense of like, that's really, I guess they thought that I was just going to be this kid that just like, all right, we're going to take the win, like the loss. But someone that wins ain't going to offer you a rematch. You know what I mean? That's for me to tell you. You know what I'm saying? And before they even announced that, the ref raised my hand. But no one talks about that. And if anyone's the biggest or the main judge, it's the ref. He's saying that. But you know, things happen the way they did. I can't even get mad at it at this point. It's more so like all about what I do now because nobody knew what I was going through in that fight. No one knows how I was feeling in the middle of those rounds where my father was asking me numerous times, I'm gonna throw in the towel because you're looking like you're dying on me. Because he knew I had my asthma and I had bronchitis and early stages of pneumonia. Fighting Kombosos for 12 rounds with a tear in my esophagus, a tear in my chest. I had airflow running through my heart, my neck, and my head for 12 rounds fighting like that.
I think the medical report was released where they said that you were lucky you hadn't died in that fight because you had this air trap between the two lungs in that space. They said it would have been like fighting with a 300-pound weight on your chest, and just said that you were lucky to have survived it. I think I read that you said that you felt something the night before, at dinner the night before, you felt unwell. You felt like your throat was swollen, you couldn't breathe properly. Is that right?
No, that's exactly what happened.
So do you now look back and think, man, because you said your dad had told you that he wanted to go, you should go to the hospital, you need to go check this out. And you said, well, I don't want to because they might cancel the fight. Now with hindsight, do you look back and think, man, I wish I'd gone, maybe I shouldn't have been in that fight?
I think it was a good, well-taught lesson for me because my ego, I beat me that night. So, you know, no one else could beat Teofimo but me, and that I just called that on me.
Well, if you have those physical issues, why do you say you beat you? How do you mean that?
Because I allowed others, the outside world and everything else to get to me in the sense of the pressure. You know, they postponed my fights. They postponed my fights so many times. I mean, it was ridiculous. I don't even know why it didn't come in my mind to just let that belt go. Maybe because that belt that I'm defending is the main one my first one that started everything. So I guess for me, it was kind of hard to let that one go. But, you know, you live and you learn. And, you know, I'm 24. So, you know, I have such a life ahead of me. As long as God gives me health and I'm able to go back in the ring healthy. My father did. He called it. He told me to go to the hospital. But I knew they were going to postpone it. I knew that people were going to talk about it. Teofimo was ducking and this and that. And I just get annoyed of how many times do I have to prove myself to let everyone know no one ducks here in this side.
It was a crazy build up to that fight. I think it was like 8 date changes in total. There were lawsuits. It ended up being on a different network with a different promotional team. It was a whole thing leading up to that. I guess it makes me wonder, how do you feel about Triller now? Would you ever sign to do a fight with them again?
I don't talk about no comment.
Yeah, that's a no though. That's a straight no. Do you feel like, okay, it doesn't have to be personal to you, do you feel like they have a place in boxing?
Triller?
Yeah.
They do and they don't.
Okay.
They do if they fix their whole staff and actually get people that are involved in the sport of boxing if they really want to push that. Because they're more of music and, you know, dance and all that stuff. They're more into that production. But at this point, so much has been done that, you know, there was a lot of things that they said they had that they didn't have, you know, from licensing and stuff like that. So a lot of commissioners, like a lot of them are not going to want to work with you again, you know. So I feel like that's something that they kind of put onto themselves.
So how did that make you feel about 2021? Because I suppose in your mind, I think you looked at the Kombosos fight. Well, sorry, I don't want to assume, but I think most of us from the outside hadn't really heard of Kombosos, right? Australian-based fighter. You don't hear of them as much in America. So you look looked at that fight and thought, okay, that's got to be like a routine win for Teofimo. Then he'll go ahead and maybe he fights Devin and finally gets that official title of undisputed. And then maybe there's Ryan Garcia or a Tank or something. It was supposed to be just an enormous 2021 for you, and that obviously got derailed. How difficult for you was it to deal with the difference between the expectation that you had for the year and then what the reality became?
Forever grateful. I'm forever
Wow,
thankful.
that's impressive. Why do you feel like that?
Because I've elevated so much as a human being, as a person, from everything, like mindset, my form of thinking, my a lot of things are going on in sport, and usually I'll jump on Twitter and give like that reaction, and now I just sit back and like let everything just ride it out. I just think that it just elevated me as I'm more thankful, grateful, and blessed to be where I'm at today because I have I have my son, and yeah, man, 2021. I'll be honest, it's my best year.
Your best year?
My best year in life.
Okay.
Really, because so much change happened, and change is always for the better. And so much changed, so much. I mean, so much chaos though did happen in the middle of it, but it turned out to be a blessing at the end.
Was that the year you had your son as well?
Yep.
That's a blessing.
My son was born 11 days before my fight. What I learned from 2021, I think it was just more so, it was my life experience I gained about like 10 years of experience just from that year alone, which was better than anything else from my wins and all the stuff that I've accomplished so far. I needed this so that you guys could see what I'm about to bring next.
So what's the biggest lesson you learned?
Biggest lesson I learned? At one point in life, you have to let go of ego in order to create a better world for you.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. So for me, what I learned is I have to let go of my ego and gain more so than anything else. That's more on a different frequency, but
I feel pride can get in the way of a lot of things, right? More than we realize
sometimes. The way of saying no to my father when he told me go to the hospital.
Mm.
So that was my ego and my pride. So because I allowed what others were saying to dictate how I should be and how I should live my life, when my life and my things that I do, no one taught me how to. I just did it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like Nike. I just do it.
So you always hear fighters say it after the event, right? After a fight, they'll say, man, I had so much going on in my life leading up to this fight. And we can all relate to that, right? Times that you have to perform in whatever your job might be, that things are going, that you're dealing with stuff personally. I think though with fighters that people definitely expect you to be able to just shut that off and go ahead and perform. How do you do that? How do you stay at the championship level when you have turmoil in your personal life?
You have to have a switch. I like to call it. You have to have a switch when to turn it on, meaning like I'm on kill mode. I'm on like this is life or death for me. That's when you got to turn that on, and all that other stuff could wait. All those problems, anything, because it doesn't matter at that point because it's just you. No one can help you. No one can protect you. No one's gonna come and like try to fight the guy or fight anyone for you. So at that moment, you have to turn it off, family, and pretty much I don't want to say love, but you just got to turn something off in you. You have to be cold at that point. And when you're going in there in that ring, and just you turn it on and you just go in there, and it's very you gotta have like a poker face, very cold, very still, very. It's at least for me that's how I am, and and then afterwards I'm back to who I am, because when I'm outside of what I do, I'm who I am. Like that's me. You guys are gonna see a lot of people think that I'm very arrogant, but they have yet to meet me. But I'm very outgoing. I'm very outspoken, and I'm someone that I'm all about good vibes, positive vibes. I'm not someone that's gonna brag, boast, and kind of like rub it in your face that look what I got.